Hello, my name is Prowler Caboose, and today I'd like to talk a bit about Fallout 76 and my thoughts on it. Now, I would call these my early thoughts, but I played a lot of the beta. I played the first PlayStation beta they had for 4 hours, I played the next one for the full 9 hours, and then I played it for another 2 hours just earlier before recording this. So I have a total of 15 hours playtime with the game, and I think that's enough time for me to give a pretty honest and pretty good opinion on the game. Not quite as a whole, as I still have a lot I haven't experienced and seen in the game, because even with 15 hours, I feel like I barely scratched the surface or even begun to really dive into the game, but I do feel like I can give a pretty legitimate opinion about how I feel about the state of the game, how it feels to play, how it is compared to the other Fallouts, and things like that. And that's something that I think is important. A lot of the videos coming out now are from big YouTubers, or a lot of them are coming from, oddly enough, people who just play on PC, people who normally don't play these kind of games and are just hopping on it, and they're bashing it a lot. And I'm going to be both bashing it and not, because Fallout 76 is a Fallout game that I never wanted to be made, but also deep down in my heart really wanted to be made. I always wanted to be able to explore a vast giant wasteland in the way that you can in the Fallout games, in the Bethesda games, and Elder Scrolls games, just Bethesda games, but with a friend. Something about those worlds are so interesting and so fun to explore that I've always wanted to be able to do that with someone. However, I didn't ever think they'd be able to pull off an engaging narrative that keeps me structured and grounded within the world and keeps me interested all the way through it. Hell, their last couple games haven't even managed to do that. Looking at you, Skyrim and Fallout 4, your stories were lackluster and unengaging at best, which allowed me to simply fuck off and do whatever, which was kind of the point of the games, and that's something that is for another video, but it leans heavily into the idea of Bethesda games. Nowadays, Bethesda games aren't about their heavy, intricate set stories where you go through and play through start to finish. Bethesda games are instead now about just being Bethesda games, for honest to God lack of a better term. You have a massive world to explore, rich or not, as wide as an ocean but as shallow as a puddle. There isn't ever much to do in it, but there's so much to see and go to in it. In Skyrim, for instance, as soon as you get any amount of slightly highly leveled armor, any like iron armor with like a good thing on it, or like dragon armor with nothing on it, no enchantments or nothing, you're pretty much golden, and all the loot and all the chests in the world is literally meaningless to you. In Fallout, ammo and things like that keep that from happening, but it still happens in certain ways, because eventually you're just going to have too much ammo. Well, there's a thing to Bethesda games where they have certain scarcity of items that keeps them engaging and keeps you going to explore. In Skyrim, it's just the fun of the world and the fun of the dungeons. In Fallout, it's the interest in the lore and things like that. Now, their main stories are what's supposed to keep you there and keep you engaged. And like I started that sentence in this small rant, I didn't think they'd ever be able to pull off an online game that had that. And I was right. Their first online game, Fallout 76, I've now played through multiple different quest lines and stories. And while these stories do keep me somewhat engaged, I really earnestly don't care about any of them. There's nothing to keep you grounded or held into it. There's no characters to like or enjoy. There's lore-breaking things that just boggle the mind with how fucking stupid they are. And it... Different, another time, not now. I won't get mad about the broken lore now. Mad about that later. So it really comes down to, like, what all the issues they have and what they've actually managed to pull off with the game. I think Fallout 76 should be viewed as its own game and not viewed as a Fallout game or viewed as a game in a franchise. Viewed as a Fallout game, it falls into the Fallout 4 category. It's a good game, it's not a good Fallout game, but it is potentially the best Bethesda game I have ever played. Bethesda are experts and incredibly talented at actually crafting and creating a world in which you'll want to explore and wander around and see all the things and touch all the things and do all the things. They're the best in the industry at it, almost. Looking at you, CD Projekt. But they're up there. They're certainly up there, and they're one of the highest standards for what games can be. Skyrim and Fallout 4 still hold people over due to just how much there is to see and do. It's the same thing with a game like Fallout New Vegas and why I still play it today, 8 years later, and still love it and still find some new things to do, even though we're almost going into 9 years at this point. So, what is it about Fallout 76 that's actually enjoyable? Well, I always thought after playing 4, the best parts of 4 are the parts I hate the most. The best things that make Fallout 4 a good video game are the crafting, the looting, and the exploration. It's not the story, it's not the engaging in the world, and it's not really even the locations or the stories being told in them. Picking up a gun and being like, oh yeah, this pistol's pretty nice, and then a couple hours later you're like, alright, I've turned it into like a submachine gun, I got an automatic in there, I've got a lot more rounds for it. Oh, okay, I've taken this like little pipe pit bolt action pistol and I put a suppressor on it and it got a little scope on it, and now it's a better sniper rifle, or now like that original one that was a submachine gun, I put a longer barrel on it and I put a hardened thing in it and it's more automatic, and now it's a full-on assault rifle. Like, that's what made 4 good. That's what made Fallout 4 good. Being able to do that and then leveling up your armor in different ways and things like that, that's what made Fallout 4 a good video game. That's what made it enjoyable, and that's the only reason I can come back to it, on top of the survival elements. If you play the game in survival, it recontextualizes everything in the game. Suddenly you don't need to just build a settlement to have somewhere to store your shit. Suddenly you need to build it because you need somewhere safe you can go to sleep and know that you won't die getting there. Suddenly you don't need the perk so you can build this settlement quickly. You need the perk so you can have everything between settlements so that you can simply build a bed to survive. Like, things change. Picking what to take based on ammo and weight capacity in that regard is a massive, incredible difference and change between how it is in the other games. It lends itself a lot more to just how much of a change can be made by simply swapping out a couple different things in the game, and it honestly made it amazing and better in every single way. I would probably never play Fallout 4 again if it wasn't for survival mode honestly bringing me back to the game just to enjoy that content. And Fallout 76 is that, but online with friends. No, the narrative's not engaging, but the crafting stuff, that's still there. In fact, it's even more in-depth and has more engaging amounts to it. Instead of just being able to level up into whatever perks you want, the leveling has changed significantly. So while my friend has leveled up into armor, and he's able to upgrade my armor into having different pocket levels and different upgrades in that regard so that I'm able to actually continue to carry around my shit, I have leveled up into guns, so he's like, oh, here's this rifle, here's the parts, make me this, I'll pay you this. And then I'm able to take a rifle, upgrade it, add a scope, add some attachments, add a larger stock to it. I'm able to upgrade his weapon and give it back to him, and he's able to actually go with me and then kill things, just like he does for my armor, I do for him with weapons. And that's not because we just decided, oh, let's do that. It's because you open these perk packs, you get these cards, you get these different perks, and you have to pick and choose what perk you want to take based on what's in your pack. You don't really get a major choice with it. It's just here's the options given, and you get to have a go at it and see what you like and what you end up with. I ended up getting a armory one, so I'm able to level up my gunsmithing, or not armorer, but gunsmith. So I'm able to level up my guns and create more of those. On top of that, the way you get more attachments is funner and more interesting. In Fallout 4, you can just see whatever it is you need, see all the items you need, and that's literally it. Who knows when you'll get there or how you'll get there. Eventually, you probably will get there and you will be able to get the items, but for now, you just don't know when or how or anything. Like in Fallout 76, you are able to just know, okay, this gun probably has these attachments, and then you have to go and fight things. So I went out and killed a shitload of super mutants at one location trying to do a daily mission, and it netted me a crap ton of hunting rifles. So I was able to take those hunting rifles, break all of them down, and by scrapping them, I learned more attachments for the hunting rifle, so I was actually able to upgrade it for myself. That made it feel so much more engaged to have to actually work for the attachments and hope to get a good one and hope that it's the next one I need and be able to actually work towards it. The weapon leveling means that you're not going to be suddenly overpowered. Suddenly you have a suppressed weapon that has like the double sneak damage and everything like that you get so quickly in Fallout 4. It means you're actually working towards it, upgrading towards it, and it's a fun kind of progression to even get to it. Like, I can currently create a combat rifle, but I can only do it at level 20, and I'm not at level 20 yet. And I have a combat shotgun, but again, I can't use that. I only hit level 17. I have it, and I found it, and I know where to get them, but I can't use them. And it gives me something to look forward to when I hit those new levels, because then I can break out these weapons, and then because I'll have more loot and more stuff like that as I go forward, I'll be able to actually use it on the items and upgrade them over time. It means that like everything that worked for Fallout 4, crafting and looting and everything like that, the best parts of it, they're all there. And that's the best thing about Fallout 76, is all of that stuff is in there and just works. The randomly wandering around being like, oh, that could be neat, and then you wander to that point on the map and it's something there and it's neat. It all works. It's all there. It's all fantastic, and I love it. But there are some things that I'm less sure about. The PvP going into it, I didn't know if it would work or not work or how it would work. I knew nothing about it going into it. I figured it would be okay at best and maybe not really work in the long term. The PvP ended up being one of the funnest additions I've had in the game, because you never know what you're going to get with people. You can choose to fight back, or you can choose not to. If you choose not to, you can still die. A lot of people are talking like, hey, if they just don't fight back, you do nothing. That doesn't stop you in any capacity from still shooting them to death. See, I watched a video where someone's PvP experience was literally them just going and shooting a dude who was standing in his house until his turret shot back. And I'm sorry I don't have footage of that, I just didn't, of mine, but I just didn't really record it and have these random 2 clips that at some point saved to my PlayStation of me playing the game, so that's just what your background footage is, so it may or may not look good depending on what you see. And I'm pretty sure in one of these I got the T-posing ghouls glitch, so, you know. But anyways, that's all he did for PvP, and that's all he saw in his video was him complaining about how bare bones and basic it is. Well, my experience wasn't that. My experience was this. We've gone into a new town because we're going to see the Mothman thing. Me and my buddy Travis are trying to explore around this world. I'm up on the upper rafters, and I saw some dudes wandering in town earlier who I saw previously and worked together to kill another monster. And I don't even remember what it was, but they helped with it, so I figured we were on good terms. As soon as I go up and I'm out of their sight, they open up on Travis. Yes, they didn't do much damage to him, they were basically hitting him with a wet slap. But enough wet slaps drops you a lot when you're being hit with fully automatic fire. His health dropped to half before he even engaged with them. I got down there, and he shot one of them, dropping their health down to half. The other one didn't see me fully rushing back with a shotgun, and I pumped him full of lead with a headshot in VATS, killing him instantly. I turned to his friend, who had then dropped Travis to his knees and was about to finish him off, and pumped him with a shotgun after Travis had already knocked him down to half health. That killed him as well, and we were able to loot both their stuff. Then we put mines around the town and prepped it up to defend it, because we knew they'd respawn nearby. We took their stuff, took their loot, and we're planning to defend ourselves. They came back into town. We had another small shootout with them before they gave us a thumbs up and a heart and basically apologized. We were then on good terms and continued to loot through the towns together. Me and Travis having both fully automatic weapons, we went through, we looked at the Mothman Museum, and then we promptly killed them both with fully automatic weapons and took all the stuff that they had looted, so we basically got the entire town looted on our own. We then took all the stuff, booked it, and dumped it in our stashes so they couldn't get it back. That marked us as raiders on the map, but our cap amount was so high from the PvP fight before and from completing a quest that it didn't matter to us, and we were having a blast. My PvP experience was completely different from his because I didn't just go try to hunt down the first random person I saw in a house. Actually engaging in the PvP in different ways changes completely how it works and how it is, and made it an incredibly enjoyable experience for me. I had a couple other areas where the PvP was less great, like when I was trying to help out someone defend their own building for rewards, but I accidentally shot them and all his turrets turned on me, which turned into me hiding outside of his building walls but still helping him out before asking him to mercy kill me so that he would get my bounty so I wouldn't be wanted anymore. But that one just felt like an honest mistake. I was chucking a lot of grenades and apparently I hit his turrets enough unprovoked that it counted me as attacking him, which honestly makes sense. So I wasn't too bothered by it. The PvP felt overall good, and I'd have situations where I'd open a door and someone would be aiming a gun at me until they realize, oh, he's level 16 and I'm level 9. I'm not going to mess with that dude. And then I'd just walk on my merry way with a weapon that could probably two-shot them. The PvP feels balanced and it feels fun, but it's just going to depend on where it goes from here. I'm very interested in to see where it goes in the future. I also have done things like follow multiple quest lines, and while not the most interesting because you're only following holotapes or talking to robots or reading recordings and stuff, the quests still managed to be interesting. I happened upon a random building and walked inside, and it told me I should look through some of the archives, so I did. Eventually I ended up signing up to join up with the workforce, and then I worked my way to the top, and then I had to take a computerized test to see if I was proper upper management material. Once it determined I was in fact proper upper management material, I was given a new position at the head of the office, sent to the executive suites, able to find their new tool set, go out to find the replacement parts for it, come back to their motherlode, fix it up, go to the basement, put it in, and was then gifted a crap ton of rare materials and things like that. And all of that happened through just random recordings and random different things and my own just figuring it out and wandering around. And it felt just as engaging as any Fallout 4 quest, which I think speaks more to how shit Fallout 4 quests are than to how good Fallout 76 quests are, but still, it meant I had an enjoyable and fun experience just questing around in a game that people have said has no good quest, and while I would still agree with that, I've had a lot of fun just wandering into new areas. I walked into this one place, the Greenbrier Hotel, which is where a lot of YouTubers went and got to play Fallout earlier. When they went in there, I watched the video and was surprised. Like, all they did was wander around and shoot stuff. So it was like, okay, that's all this is. When I went there, I found the golf club, and I lockpicked my way in. The place was flooded with ghouls, and I went around finding holotapes talking about people who had gone there before me and had died horrifically. I continued to follow their tale with complete interest because I wanted to know what had happened, what had brought them there, and what had killed them. As I was wandering around, I saw a Deathclaw stalking the ground, so I've got an idea of what might have hunted them, but a lot of it sounded more like a zombie apocalypse style scenario, and it honestly just was really cool to see how much they've managed to do with just these little things, as there are multiple reasons to go to each location. There's different events dotted around the map, so there's always reasons to check out new areas. It was kind of cool to see the different ways in which they've made exploration matter. So getting to the bad, I'd honestly chalk down the bad to only a couple things here and there, and they're going to be weird. The number one thing that I'd say is bad is that the PC port is apparent trash. There's a problem in Bethesda games that have been in there since Morrowind where the physics engine is tied to the frame rate or the game engine, so if you have a 120 frames a second game, it's running at double the actual game speed, where bullets fly faster, animations happen faster, things like beer bottles drop faster, and that carries over into 76. That means the game has in-engine speed hacks. It's also missing things like bloom, field of view, ultra widescreen support, tons of things that are basic quality of life PC things. Now, the reason I'd say that's a major thing is because that means the game, for a lot of people, for PC players who say that they need these things and want these things and demand these things, it's not playable for them. It's not an enjoyable experience for them. And it ruins the game for them. And while that's difficult for me to understand, mostly being a console gamer, because literally none of that applies to the console versions in any capacity, it is something that I understand ruins the PC version for a lot of people and kind of kills their ability to even play it in some circumstances where they could literally just get motion sick because they don't have the ability to change their field of view to what they're more used to. So it is a fair and valid complaint, and I wouldn't want to take that away from anyone, but that is something that does not apply to any of the console versions. The main thing that does, though, is the bugs. I have plenty of pictures from this slideshow where it's showing all the bugs I ran into. God, there were many. My whole game just went green at a time. I'd see areas where green just appeared, and I'd panic slightly thinking it was happening again. The game's a buggy mess, like typical Bethesda bugs. The only difference is now this is online, and that's going to affect a lot more things, and that's going to affect people in a lot of different ways. And I think people are actually sick of it. There's a saying that was quoted by Joseph Anderson on YouTube called Bethesda's Bug, where you don't know if something's working as intended or broken and isn't. It's impossible to say. Something could be meant to work one way, but because it's broken, it works another way, or that's just what it's meant to do. Bethesda's Bug. You never know if something's actually there or it isn't. Well, in this game, that's going to apply a lot more. Who knows what's going to be actually features, who knows what's actually broken things, but I have had a couple different issues. Like I was saying in that PvP fight, we booked it after we killed the guys. We didn't book it because we killed the guys, I booked it first and then my friend had to follow because the entire game exploded when I looked in one direction, and that happened to be the direction those guys were coming to fight back from. We were probably going to have a laugh about it and give them their stuff back as joke for them attacking us first, but we couldn't risk it because I literally couldn't see to fight them because in one direction it was all black. And the same thing happened again later when we were trying to complete an event. I had sections where everything went green. I've had T-posing enemies. I've had your typical body stretches. I've had so many different weird bugs. It's crazy. However, I will say I had all of those bugs during the very first 4 hours I played. Every single other time I played it, the other, 11 hours worth of play, I didn't have any of those bugs whatsoever. So, who knows how buggy it'll actually be at launch. The frame rate on consoles also isn't great, but it's pretty much exactly the same as Fallout 4, so if you could deal with Fallout 4, you can probably deal with this as well. And I kind of think that's all I've got to say. I'm honestly surprised. I went from thinking I'd hate the game, but begrudgingly accepting I was going to have to buy it because I love Fallout and I've got a 100% it, just like I have every other Fallout game, to actually being really excited to play it because it seems like the kind of game I actually want to get. And I am excited for it, and I'm going to get it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And let me know what you think of it. Did you enjoy it? Do you not? Are you still on the fence about it? If you got any questions, let me know. Again, I played a lot of it, and I can answer a lot more. I'm sure there's even things I forgot to go over in talking with this, because I didn't actually write a script for this one, and I'm just talking off the top of my head. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, it was one of my more serious ones. I plan on making them every once in a while, but I also plan on making a couple Let's Play series in between. If you want to stick around for those, feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'd enjoy seeing you there.